Snow swirled across the empty parking lot as CEO Daniel Mercer stepped out of his car, ready to head into another long night at the office. But before he could take a single step, he noticed a small figure sitting on the frozen curb, a little girl shivering in the blizzard, her thin coat dusted with snow. She couldn't have been more than 7. Daniel froze, unsure if the cold had tricked his eyes, but then she looked up at him with wide, desperate eyes that cut through the storm more sharply than the wind. He hurried toward her, asking if she was hurt or lost, but she only clutched a worn backpack to her chest. Her voice trembled as she whispered the words that stopped him in his tracks. Mom said, "You're the only one who can help us." Daniel had never seen her before. He didn't know her name, didn't know why a child would be out alone in a snowstorm, and certainly didn't know why her mother would send her to him. The confusion mixed with a strange sense of responsibility he couldn't explain as he bent down to help her stand. The girl glanced over her shoulder, as if someone or something might be following. That look sent a chill deeper than the winter air. Daniel realized this wasn't an accident. Someone had led her here, someone who believed he was the only hope. But before he could ask anything more, the girl whispered something that made him feel the ground shift beneath him, and everything changed. Daniel felt the snow crunch under his feet as he guided the girl toward the shelter of his car. Her hands were freezing, her breath shaky, but she walked with a strange determination, as if she had practiced this moment. He kept his voice gentle, trying not to scare her, yet every answer she gave only deepened the mystery. She told him her name was Emily. She didn't say much else, only that her mother had told her exactly where to wait and exactly who to look for. Daniel's mind raced. He couldn't remember ever meeting a woman with a daughter this age. As a CEO, he dealt with countless people, every week, employees, clients, partners, but none of them came to mind. Still, something about Emily's calm fear felt familiar, as if she carried a message meant only for him. He wondered what kind of situation her mother was trapped in, and why she believed a complete stranger could help. On the drive, snow hammered the windshield, making it hard to see the road. Emily kept glancing at the rear window, hugging her backpack tightly. Daniel asked if someone was chasing them, but she didn't answer. Instead, she slowly slid the zipper open and revealed a folded letter tucked inside. Its edges were worn, like it had been held many times. She held it out to him with trembling fingers. "Mom said, you'd understand this," she whispered. Daniel felt an uneasiness settle in his chest. He hadn't opened the letter yet, but something told him that whatever was inside would pull him into a world he wasn't ready for, when he might not be able to walk away from. Daniel parked the car on the quiet side of the road, the storm still beating against the windows. He didn't want to read the letter while driving, and something about Emily's silence made him feel he owed her his full attention. When he unfolded the paper, he expected a plea for money or a simple explanation. Instead, he found a short message written in rushed, uneven handwriting, almost as if it had been done in the dark. If you're reading this, they found us. Protect Emily. You're the only one I trust. The words hit him harder than he expected. He didn't know this woman, yet she spoke as if they shared a history he couldn't remember. Emily watched him closely, as though waiting for a reaction she had already imagined. Her eyes were filled with worry, but there was something else: belief. She truly believed he could fix whatever danger they were in. Daniel asked who they were, but Emily's voice softened again. She said her mother had been hiding for weeks, always checking the windows, always telling Emily to stay quiet. She mentioned that her mother worked in an office once connected to one of Daniel's old business partners. That made his stomach twist. He had ended that partnership years ago after a bitter fallout involving confidential files and a disagreement he still didn't fully understand. As the snow piled higher, Daniel felt the weight of old decisions pressing on him. Had something from his past resurfaced? Had someone dragged this child into a conflict she shouldn't even know about? Emily leaned closer, whispering that her mother had planned to come herself until something stopped her tonight. And before Daniel could ask what happened, Emily's eyes drifted toward the shadows outside the car, as if she sensed someone was already looking for them. Daniel tightened his grip on the steering wheel as Emily's gaze stayed fixed on the darkened street. The storm had grown heavier, wrapping the world in thick, white silence. He didn't want to believe someone could be out there, watching, but the uneasiness settling in his chest felt too real to ignore. He turned on the interior light for a moment, hoping to reassure her, but the glow only made her look smaller, more fragile. He knew he needed answers. Emily mentioned her mother's old job again, describing how her mother had discovered something she wasn't supposed to see, something connected to Daniel's former business partner. The details were vague, but the fear in her voice showed it was serious. Daniel's mind raced back to those days, remembering warnings he dismissed, meetings that ended abruptly, and files he never got to review. If someone had been hiding the truth all this time, maybe Emily's mother had stumbled onto it. Howled outside, and suddenly a pair of faint headlights appeared far behind them, creeping through the snow. It could have been anyone, but the slow, steady pace made Daniel's pulse rise. Emily quietly sank lower in her seat, clutching her backpack again, like it was the only safe thing she had left. Daniel switched off the interior light, and the car returned to shadow. He didn't want to alarm her, but he knew they couldn't stay there. Whatever conflict her mother had become tangled in, it was clear it hadn't ended. And now he and Emily were caught in the middle of something far bigger than either of them understood. Before he could drive away, Emily whispered, "Mom said they would find us if we stopped moving." Those headlights crept closer, cutting through the snow like searching eyes. And Daniel realized the moment he feared might already be here. Daniel's heart hammered as the mysterious headlights crawled closer through the storm. He slid the car into gear, ready to pull away, when Emily suddenly grabbed his sleeve. Her eyes were wide, not with fear this time, but with recognition. She whispered that the car behind them wasn't the same one that had followed her and her mother before. This one, she said, belonged to someone her mother used to trust, someone who had suddenly changed sides. The words sent a jolt through him. If Emily was right, this wasn't just a chase. Someone close to her mother had betrayed her, and now that person was out in the snow, closing in on them. Daniel eased the car forward, trying to stay calm, but the headlights matched his movement, inch for inch. It didn't feel random anymore. It felt deliberate. As he merged back onto the main road, Emily rummaged through her backpack again, this time pulling out a small plastic keycard. She held it out with trembling hands, explaining that her mother had found it hidden inside a file at work. The file had belonged to Daniel's former partner in encrypted project. Daniel had never been allowed to see. The keycard, Emily said, was the reason her mother had gone into hiding. Daniel felt the stakes rise sharply. Whatever this key unlocked wasn't just important, it was dangerous enough. That someone was willing to chase a child through a blizzard to retrieve it. The car behind them accelerated. Snow exploded around them as Daniel pressed harder on the gas, trying to stay ahead. But then, out of nowhere, another set of headlights appeared in the distance, coming straight toward them from the opposite direction. Emily gasped. Daniel's grip tightened. They weren't running from just one car anymore. They were being boxed in. Daniel's pulse raced as the two cars closed in, their headlights slicing through the storm. He knew he couldn't outrun both. With the snow piling fast and the road narrowing, he made a split decision and turned sharply onto a side path, leading toward an old maintenance tunnel he remembered from years ago. The tires slid, but the car held steady enough for them to slip. Inside the tunnel's shadow just before the headlights streaked past, for the first time since the night began, there was silence. Emily clung to the keycard, her breathing uneven, while Daniel tried to steady his own. He finally asked the question he'd been avoiding: what exactly her mother had discovered. Emily explained that the encrypted project wasn't about money or competition. It involved sensitive data tied to illegal monitoring, something Daniel's former partner had been quietly building without the company's approval. Emily's mother had uncovered it by accident, and once she realized the danger, she hid the evidence and planned to bring it to someone she trusted from afar. Before he could respond, footsteps echoed faintly at the tunnel entrance. They were out of time. Daniel guided Emily through a service exit he remembered, leading them toward a nearby security station where he knew cameras still worked. Once inside, he used the keycard, and to his shock, the system recognized it instantly. Files loaded onto the screen, everything Emily's mother had risked her safety to protect. Just as Daniel hit the emergency alert to forward the information to the authorities, the station door swung open. Daniel braced himself, but instead of the person chasing them, Emily's moth,